Frank Reich, the head football coach of the Indianapolis Colts, joins us right on time. Coach, first up, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. My pleasure.
Hey, let's begin with this. And I'm sure you're going to be shocked that eventually we're going to ask you about the quarterback play. But aside from that, because that is clearly the obvious topic, what other areas are you looking at that you come into this and you say, if you could wave a magic wand and get the best player at a particular spot for your football team right now, it is where?
I mean, we're looking to make incremental improvements in every area, right? I mean, you don't know how it's going to fall down. I know this. I can say that the passing game needs to, be improved from last year. Obviously, we did a lot of good things in the run game. At the end of it, as we continue to evaluate, disappointed in the performance in the pass game as a whole. So so everything that's associated with the pass game, that all needs to get better.
You've talked about, I guess Chris has as well, the need a wide receiver, potentially tight end as well in the offseason. When you look at Carson individually, you self-evaluated film-wise, why do you think he didn't reach the level over 17 games that you thought he would reach?
I think there's a lot of collective things that go into that. There's individual performance, there's team performance. You have some games you play better than other games, right? We all understand that mix. So I just felt like we never got both sides of it synced up. Early on, I felt like we were making some plays in the pass game. I thought we were making deep plays in the pass game early on. And then that run game got going. And then that's when we expected that the play action game should have exploded. We should have had all these chunk plays because we're running the ball so good. We're getting heavy boxes. We should have been able to capitalize on big plays. That's what we didn't get done, and that's what we have to figure out and get better at this year.
Chris mentioned making the layups was a phrase that he told Carson. Is because you just mentioned big plays. Where is the balance in finding simple, which is a phrase I think you've used before, but then like you said, the vertical passing game, you couldn't capitalize on what Jonathan was doing.
Yeah, and the big play, that's probably misstated by me. The big play is the chunk play down the field, but we also know the big play is the check down to Jonathan Taylor, and he gets 15. That's a massive play because just when the defense thinks, hey, oh, boom, it's hard play action. Boom, we stopped the chunk. Oh, good, great job. Oh, we hit Jonathan Taylor, and he still gained 20 yards. He still gained 15 yards. Those kill the defense, and so it's that combination. We have to find that balance of pushing it down the field, but then still making the right decisions and the right plays underneath when they're there.
Frank, you were a guy as a quarterback, as we know, it's well documented. You might have played your best football when your back was against the wall, when there was doubt about you. Because of that, and I know the relationship you have with Carson Wentz, but because of that, did you put too much faith in other quarterbacks' ability to respond to adversity as the way you did?
That's an interesting question. I do think the first part of that is true. For whatever reason, a lot of times I felt like, I think a lot of players feel like this, that when your back's against the wall, that's when you got to come out swinging. So, no, I think, again, when you look at what we did last year, when you look at what Carson did last year, there was progress, okay? Was it as much progress as we wanted? No, collectively, for all of us. But there was progress, and there was evidence. There was some evidence. There was some good evidence. There just wasn't, we need to do better as an offense, better as a team. It's complementary football as well, right? So those are the things we have to figure out.
Let me tell you that the outsider perspective, and then I want you to tell me if there's any accuracy to it, okay? The outsider perspective would be that when it came time to figure out who was going to quarterback the Colts this past season, that you were the guy that was the one that really put your neck out there for Carson Wentz because of your relationship with him, and that now that puts you in perhaps a tight spot because you have two people above you that are ready to move on, and you have to fall in line with that. Is that accurate, number one? And number two, if it is, did Carson Wentz let you down?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I think last year, given the landscape that we had at the moment that we signed Carson, I think it was the right decision. And I did, quote unquote, stick my neck out. I did say, hey, let's get this guy. At that time, Stafford had signed with the Rams. We're looking at what's the best option, okay, given the guys that were out there at the moment that we signed Carson. And because of my past relationship, because of my belief in him, I felt like that was the best option. So whatever weight that my opinion had at that moment, sure, and I'm the head coach, I'm a quarterback guy. So I'm sure it had a lot in Chris's mind. So I'm not backing down from that. I mean, that's a decision. That's an opinion I gave at the moment. I think it was the right decision at that moment. And I look back on it now, and I still don't think it was a bad decision. I still think it was, given everything that was going on. And when you look at, we failed. We failed in the sense that we didn't make the playoffs. We didn't do what we wanted to do. But when I look back on it, I still think it was the reasonable and right decision at the moment.
Is it the right decision now?
That's to be determined. I mean, everything, the narrative is never over, right? And hey, we know as players and coaches, the narrative is over when we're let go, right? But until then, you don't know how the story ends. So, I'm just always going to, you guys know me, I'm just always going to be of the mindset that whether Carson is our quarterback or whether it's someone else, that we'll be at our best when our backs are against the wall. And in essence, in many ways, our backs are against the wall.
Live here at the Combine at the Convention Center, Frank Reich, generous with his time this morning with us. Last quarterback question, because I know it's equally as exhausting for you as it is for us asking it. I don't know if it was Chris or you mentioned, over the next 10 days, you guys will sit down and put some finality to this. Do you feel like in your conversations with Chris or Jim, you are selling Carson Wentz at all to them?
No, I don't. I feel like we're giving our honest opinions. I think the natural narrative is going to be, hey, that I'm the one pushing for it, but the reality is we're talking the pluses and the minuses. I'm saying the pluses and the minuses of the decisions going forward. I want to do what's best for the team. We all want to do what's best for the team. So I really feel confident in that decision, right? I mean, this narrative that, hey, we're still in the evaluation process, and people wondering, well, don't you have your mind? Well, yes, you're in a process. We have strong leanings. There's been discussion. You have strong inclinations, but you don't make that final decision until you need to make it. And as we come together over the next 10 days, that last 5 or 10 or 1% of the decision that needs to be made collectively, that's the way it'll happen.
I look at Frank Reich as our guest, the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Frank, Jonathan Taylor's a wonderful talent. I mean, there is no question about the fact that he is a dynamic NFL talent. But can you win a Super Bowl or get to where you want to go by having that be the epicenter of your offense?
No, it needs to be balanced. And I've always said that from day one. Hey, we're going to run the ball, but you got to be dynamic in the passing game, because you got to be good on third down. You got to be good. You got to score touchdowns in the red zone. So now you can, in the red zone, with a dynamic back like JT and a superstar like him, be a top 5, top 10 red zone team. But to be good on third down, we need to be good in the pass. We need to be better in the pass game, and so that's where we need to get.
Do you have any indication whether or not Jack Doyle's part of your team next year?
No, that decision hasn't fully been made. Jack will kind of lay that on us as he can. I mean, here's the one thing I know about Jack, that this is one of the true all-time greatest Colts ever in my mind. I mean, this guy is amazing. He's really what we're all about. One of the greatest team players I've ever been around. A great player. And I think, Jack has been underestimated in his career, the impact he made, how good of a football player he is, just because he's not that explosive 4 or 5 guy making those kind of plays. But he is a great football player, and if his time is over as a Colt, it'll be a sad day for all of us, but a great career for Jack if that ends up being his decision.
Head into his 5th season as the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Frank Reich is with us here at the Combine. A couple questions playoff related. When you watch the postseason, what were your takeaways from seeing the teams that advanced and how they are made up or how they operated?
Yeah, I mean, it's you would expect, first of all, you're sitting there and you think, I know we can beat these teams. I know we can beat these teams. I know we match up well against these teams. And so you're sick. I get sick about that we didn't get there. So, and just want to prove that we can do that. So, again, take ownership of what we've done, what I did, and just move forward.
And then when you look at, and this defined the postseason, all the one-possession games, all the close games, you guys were 2-5 in one-score games this year. I know that really bothered Chris. When you look back on that aspect, why did you guys struggle in the close games?
Yeah, I mean, we just couldn't close out really, at times in And it wasn't any one thing. It wasn't one position. It wasn't offense. It wasn't, at times it was offense. At times it was defense. I don't really think special teams ever really cost us like that in the game. But
just lacking the killer instinct.
Hey, I don't want to overstate it or understate it or overstate it. But sometimes it's just one more play. One more right call by me. One more play by a player. One stop, one catch, one completion. It takes 2 or 3 of those in the right moment, the right decisions when it is all on the line. Those are the things that we take a lot of pride in. That's what we have to do. We have to finish with it's playmaking. And when I say playmaking, that includes coaching. I'm not just putting that on the players. That's all of us. But it's about play. I know this in this league. There's no doubt in my mind. That's what wins games. You got to play good, consistent football. And in the biggest moments of the game, you got to make plays as a coach and as a player. That's what you're paid to do.
You've had some throughout the course of your time already with the Colts. You had a franchise quarterback that retired somewhat surprisingly. You had, you've gone through some things. Was this the most challenging year for you that you've had?
The way it ended, yes. I mean, not ever been through something like that before. Usually it's on the other end, usually finishing strong. That's always kind of been the mantra. So from but there was a heck of a run there, right? I mean, there was a heck of a run in the middle of the season there with the best running game in the NFL, beating some good football teams in convincing fashion, and looking for a good stretch of the season. As disappointed as we all are, you can't deny the fact that there was a stretch of the season there that we look like one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. The problem is that's not the way this thing gets measured. You got to do it over 17 games, and it's got to be enough to get you in the playoffs.
When you evaluate, for example, Carson Wentz, is it difficult to look at the totality of the season and those stretches like you're talking about because of the way it ended? Does the last 2 games supersede everything that took place before it?
I would say it this way. It's weighted more heavily. Yeah, I mean, how you finish matters for all of us. So that's just the reality of our business.
Frank, when you look at, life post-Andrew, this past year just missed the playoffs, finished 8th. The year before, 7th in the AFC. The year before, 10th. You guys have been a middle-of-the-pack AFC team in life post-Andrew. When you evaluate yourself, play caller, head coach, wherever you want to go with it, where do you need to be better to get this team to kind of steal the mountain analogy you always use to get higher on that mountain, higher in the AFC?
I think in several ways. One is, just continued in the second half of the season and the second half of games. Again, it goes back to the playmaking. Whatever role that I have in those playmaking moments, right, as a coach and as as the head coach and as the play caller, I just need to continue to find ways to be at my best in the most important moments for the role that I play. And that's obviously a big role as the head coach and the play caller. So those are the areas you're always looking at. I feel very confident. I feel very confident in those areas. I'm not going to lie. I hope you would think that I feel that way. But when I look at what we've done as an offense, yes, that we've been, quote unquote, middle of the pack, a lot of times, right at that 10, 12 spot. You can look and measure different things. And the way I look and measure different things, in some respects, I'm happy and confident with some of the things we've done. But it's just not been good enough. We have to continue to find ways to get better.
I know we're up against it. So last one from me here. You've made it seems like a pretty specific change coaching staff-wise to get some ex-players, some notable players, and Reggie Wayne and Cato June certainly here to your staff. Why was that such a focus for you this offseason?
I just thought it was the right mix, and Mike Mitchell as well.
Right,
and so, 3 guys there who I'm looking for that right blend as a staff, right? We got some older guys, we got some younger guys, we got some high-energy guys, some guys who are lifelongers. That mix, it's that chemistry of all that. But the former players those 3 former players are all guys who played at a high level. One of the things that I really believe in is, this goes the playmaking thing, the game within the game, right? To me, that's a really big deal. There's the X's and the O's, there's the scheming thing, but then within every individual matchup, there's the game within the game. And so I wanted to get players in here who have that confidence, who have that leadership, who know how to do that. I mean, coaches know how to do that as well, but can bring little elements, little side conversations, attitude, and playmaking to the field. And I think these three guys will do that.
Today, in conclusion here, Frank, goes through what? I mean, take us through what a head coach at the NFL Combine, your day looks like what, and you're looking for what today?
Yeah, I mean, we'll go through our formal interviews this morning. We'll go right
with
from
prospects.
Here. Yeah, with prospects. Go right from here to that. Those 15-minute, quote unquote, famous 15-minute interviews. So we'll do that for a couple hours. Then you get a couple hours off in the afternoon. Then tonight the workouts start right at 4:00, and they go from 4 to 10 or whatever they do. And that's pretty much what it looks like for the rest of the week, right? I mean, it's the interviews and then the workouts. Interviews and the workouts. Getting as much information as you can, processing things, looking at film in between all those things. Downloading and debriefing, as a staff or with Chris, as we go, taking notes, categorizing things, ranking things, and putting pieces of the puzzle together, right? There's 100 pieces of the puzzle, quote unquote. So, hey, there's 10 or 15 or 20 pieces that we have to bring from this combine to get a clearer picture of what we're doing.
So when you interview these guys and you feel like you're asking them the same question, redirecting to try to get to the answers, then you know how our job is, right?
Exactly.
Is that right?
Thanks the Lord I don't do this dog and pony show to take chicks.
This was a good warm-up, right?
This is
for the way the day goes.
Are you on the field with the quarterbacks tonight, or do you sit up with the scouts and Chris and
no,
watch them up there?
when the quarterbacks go, I got a spot. It's kind of a traditional spot. There's a handful of us that all sit together. That we've just been doing that for a long time.
From around the league?
Yeah. So that's the one time that I'll the rest of the time I'm up top. But when the quarterbacks are on the field, I go down to my spot down there and watch the quarterbacks from a certain spot.
He is Frank Reich, again, his 5th season as Colts head coach coming up here in 2022.
Time flies. Any chance that when you're watching those quarterbacks, you're going to see a guy that is your starter this season?
Hey, you keep every option open. Again, all decisions are pending. Evaluation continues to go on. So that's what we're here for. We're here to evaluate these guys.
Frank, thanks for the time. I know it's a busy week. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
That's Frank Reich right there with us live here at the Convention Center. We'll come up final hour here from Kevin and Query up next on 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.